Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a podcast by Practical E-Commerce.
What is going on, Internet? Eric Van Holtz back again with another E-Commerce Conversations. Hope all is going well on the other side of the Internet. On the other side of the table, from me.
Hey, I'm Mike Tecu. I'm the owner of Momentum.
Mike!
What's happening, dude? It's good to be back.
Not like Mike like the microphone.
No. Well, no.
Mike like Michael.
Yeah, it's the most popular name from 1984, so we have a lot of things in common.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to bring you back on. You were one of my OG guests to the podcast many years ago. We talked about Amazon. We only did one show before, right?
Correct. Yeah, that feels like a lifetime ago, but I remember it fondly.
Yeah.
I still have people write me about that episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think you gave your email out.
I did. Happy to do that again. Mike at MomentumShake.com. Ask me about anything.
There you go. What are you doing?
I sold all my Amazon companies in 2019 and did well enough to start a little venture fund, invested a bunch of stuff, and then just kind of basically retired. Bought some land out in the country and quickly got very bored. So I spent the next 2 years figuring myself out and doing a lot of research into longevity. And I came up with this product that took all the different supplements that I was taking. I went and found the most premium version of everything and made direct relationships with the manufacturers. And then I put everything into one shake just so it would be easy and delicious. And I didn't have to worry about trusting any sources, and a third party tested everything. So I just wanted to make like the Rolex of supplements and make it super simple and awesome. And I think I did it.
Yeah, I've been on it.
Well, thank you.
Is that what you say? I've been on it? I've been drinking it?
Yeah.
I prefer the milk over the water, though.
Yeah.
I've tried both. Are you a water guy or a milk guy?
I just mix it up. I just wanted it to taste good. So we only use organic chocolate and organic cane sugar, nothing fake. That's why I think it tastes so good.
Yeah. So I've known you for a long time.
Yeah. What are we, like 7 years now or something like that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Long time. It's like a third of my life. No, a fifth of my life.
Well, we're getting younger every year.
Yeah. So one thing that I always admired about you is like just your knack for like working on projects and like kind of going down these rabbit holes. Momentum was something that I remember you talked about many, many years ago. We had the conversation about sugar.
Right.
And it was just like you just went on and on about like just sugar for like an hour. It's like, I don't know. I don't care. Just
we live in an incredible time where everybody's an expert at something, but you don't really know how deep that knowledge goes. Most of the time it's surface or people are just regurgitating things. But it's incredible because all the information is there. And if you know how to think and you're dedicated enough, you can find all the sides of a topic and then come to a reasonable conclusion on your own. And I think the best things that you can possibly make are when you're passionate about something and you do the work to actually truly become an expert that knows both sides of every argument and makes a logical conclusion on something. It's just an incredible time because you don't have to depend on someone else for the knowledge. You can do it yourself.
What was some of the hardest decisions you had to make? Because it's not always, in my opinion, cut or dry. Like there's trade-offs to everything. Like what are some of the trade-offs you felt like you had to make?
I think there's a difference between being something really effective and true and honest versus popular and trendy. Like our protein, there's this huge debate between, plant-based and whey protein and which is better, or putting in like superfoods, for instance. I wanted to make sure there was no marketing fluff. No, I call it pixie dust, where they put in like a trace amount of something to fill that label up and like make it sound healthy or seem healthy. So I had to make a real promise to myself that there'd be zero bullshit. And I would only put in the thing that was the best, no matter if it wasn't the most popular. So we went with this grass-fed whey protein from Ireland, which is absolutely incredible. It's 5 times more expensive than any other protein you can get in the whole world. And that's because Ireland is special. It's the only place that can grow grass year-round. And it's the only place that you can certify that something is truly grass-fed. And it just makes such a more premium product. And I know people really like, plant-based pea protein, but there's 30% fewer essential amino acids in it. There's heavy metals, there's pesticides in it. And I just wasn't willing to make that compromise just because it's popular or it's trendy at the moment. There's no superfoods in this drink because I feel like
what's a superfood?
A superfood, exactly. Good question, because there's no definition of it. It's anything a marketer wants to call super. So you could, if you look at the back of, Athletic Greens or Kachava, and there'll be like 75, 100, 1 billion superfoods. And it's like, oh, an apple or a blueberry is a superfood. Like, okay, what does that do for you? And what does it do for you when you put in 20 milligrams of something like that, which is like a couple grains of salt worth? The answer is nothing. It helps make sales. So I just made a real promise to myself that there'd be none of that. There's just no nonsense, nothing to help sell, just things that had scientific backing in it. And so that's probably been like the hardest trade-off I had to make. It was like, I'm going to, no matter what, just do the thing that I feel is right and true, no matter what, even if it costs a bunch of sales in the short term.
Or margin or
huge
cost, because it's not cheap.
Right. No, you're right. That probably is the harder thing. So like not using artificial or natural flavors is insanely expensive. Every bag we have has about $2 worth of chocolate in it. And to kind of put that into perspective, we spend more on chocolate than most competitors spend on their whole product. So like a 30-day supply of a Super Greens drink might cost $2 to $3, right? Whereas ours costs $30 per bag, $60 per month, just in physical costs. But that kind of just goes in along with my philosophy that it's so much easier to compete at the top of a market at a premium because there's just so few people willing to do it. Every other person that I've talked to who thought about doing something along these lines was like, the margin would be so thin. How are you going to sell a bag for $75 if it costs you just $30 to make? Like, how are you going to pay for ads and staff? And it's like, these are all great questions. But I just wanted to make something outstanding without concern about that backline margin. My theory is that the product will be so good that I won't have to spend as much money on marketing because there'll be word of mouth. I won't have as much churn. People will stick as subscribers longer. And I won't have to just spend all my money on ads. So that's the theory. We'll see if it pans out and we come back in like a year or two.
It's kind of interesting. Like going back, I want to also touch base on the sugar thing because like I remember you asked me my thoughts of stevia. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't know what stevia is. Like, it's like every year there's a new sugar. Right. It seems like. I guess stevia is another kind of like essentially like cane sugar, but it's not cane sugar. It's from other plant. Yeah,
it's from a leaf. Okay. So it's natural. The same thing I feel about information or everything has to test time, right? Sugar's been around for 1,000+ years. Everyone's got different feelings about it, but we know exactly what it is, what it does to the body. And you should probably try to limit the amount that you have. That's why we only put in 3 grams per serving. So it's not very much in comparison to like a soda that might have 50 or 60 grams, right? But we just don't know what these artificial sweeteners do, or even the alternative sweeteners. I feel like stevia or monk fruit is a lot better than whatever artificial thing because there's no time. We don't know what's actually happening to people over 100 years, over 60 years. We know exactly what's happening with the real ingredients.
Yeah. But you do have monk fruit in there.
Yeah, there's 150 milligrams of monk fruit. And I did that because it cut down the amount of sugar that we needed by 50%. It's been the go-to sweetener in China for the last 400 years. And it's just the sugar of the Lohan fruit. So it's completely natural. It's just not something in America that we're really used to. And it happens to have a 0 glycemic index in it.
There you go, man. So I guess some decisions are relatively easier than others.
No, that was something I had to really wrestle with because, we're formulating like 2 years ago and trying to get it right. There's so many opinions on everything. Like some people want 0 sugar. And I'm like, well, that's going to taste terrible, which means you won't have it, which defeats the purpose. I'm trying to help people be healthier. And if it's not a habit you're willing to do, then it's not going to work. So it has to be a little bit sweet. So 3 grams was sort of like my max. I'm like, okay, for this to taste good, it would need 6 or 7 grams. So what else can I do to get it to that level of sweetness without that level of glycemic index. And that's when I started researching monk fruit. And it's by far, as far as alternative sweeteners go, I think the healthiest. There are people that would claim that's a superfood, but that's, whatever.
Speaking of decisions, I want to talk about your time period where you're getting bored.
Yeah.
Because other projects I heard about is writing a love book about relationships.
I made an algorithm for compatibility. So yeah, I spent even years before I sold the company, I was trying to figure out my identity, right? Am I an entrepreneur? Am I an artist? I used to be a musician before this. So to me, the end goal of business was always sell the thing and then go do what you really love. And then after a year, I just felt kind of empty. I thought I won the game. But games are meant to be played, not to be won. That's where the joy in life comes from, is playing the game. So I just started paying attention to my attention at that point. What am I naturally doing every day? Where's my interest going? No one has to motivate me to do research on wanting to extend my life or become optimally healthy. No one has to force me to read books on philosophy or, go play, with my friends, play some pickleball or go for walks on the way. These are things that I'm naturally inclined to do and love. Why don't I make that my daily life? Why don't I find a way to keep learning, have an excuse to keep growing, and then share that with people? So I went through this huge, identity crisis. I sold all the companies and okay, I'm not an entrepreneur anymore. What am I then? Who am I? What the hell am I doing with the rest of my life? And I realized that I can just change the way I do entrepreneurship, the way I do business, and I can make it craft. I can make it art. I can make it surrounding the things that I'm passionate about. I can come up with rules about how I'm going to build this business, both ethically, but also the way I spend my time, so that I'm getting joy out of the process and less concerned about the end result of, how many dollars this, creates. So to me, I really started creating things around process that started to light me up and get excited. And that's what it's been the last 2 years. Whenever I felt like I was starting to grind or I was starting to hate this process, I would just stop and then either remove the thing that was causing me pain or find a way to systemize it or just take a mental break on it and realize that, the only reason you're doing this is to make something beautiful and to enjoy your time making it. So that was the huge mental shift for me. And it allowed me to love being an entrepreneur again, because it wasn't about making money. It was about making art. So I think this is the greatest thing that I've ever created. I really think it's my masterpiece so far. And yeah, it's a very different way of approaching life for me. I'm excited about it and I just can't shut up about it.
Yeah. Do you mentioned there's rules that you're going to follow in this business. Obviously one of them is to enjoy the journey, to be passionate about it and not let it overwhelm you. Are there any other rules that you're setting that you're trying to follow?
I really just wanted to be proud of something, and not just in other people's eyes, but in my own. I wanted to fully be aware of absolutely everything that was going into it and not have any conversations with myself that that's not a big deal. No one's going to know about that. Or just thoroughly be proud of the work that I created. Know that it was the absolute best that I could do. And as far as I know, the best available in the market, because that's what I'm always striving to be, is because I feel like it's easier to market, right? It's easier to be the absolute best and then not have to do a bunch of crazy marketing nonsense and worry about the color of the button or weird ads or manipulating kind of stuff. It's just, this is the best. And then people recognize that and tell their friends. Yeah, so I would say the rule is I have to be internally proud of it and just want to be able to share it with people. I'm trying to think of some other rules that I set up. I'll keep thinking about them.
Okay. Well, there's another thing that you were telling me about that you were super excited about and you thought is the best, which is the cookie business. Is that still going on? Or it's kind of funny. You have one product that will help you live forever. And one, are you selling both? The poison and the cure?
So I started over the great break, the COVID break, I started baking a lot. And I just really got into making cookies. And so one of the kind of rules that I stipulated was it has to be a positive for the world. It has to bring joy or a real tangible benefit to somebody's life. And I just wanted to make a cookie that was knock out the best thing you'd ever tasted ever, but also, again, zero compromises on the ingredients. So everything was organic, everything was locally sourced, and I really think it's a pretty amazing cookie. And as far as a business model goes, I was trying to do a couple of things at the same time. I was trying to create this love algorithm, right? I was trying to create this longevity shake that was the simplest thing you could do to optimize your health and therefore just be around longer. And then the other was I wanted to make a financial opportunity for people. So, health, wealth, and love, right? These are the things that I'm really excited about. So I made this cookie, and then I wanted to make a business model where you had this cookie truck and you didn't have to bake, you didn't have to do anything. You just had these incredible cookies come to you that you could bake right on the oven, so the cookie dough would show up, and then you'd have a business opportunity that could make 500 to a million, and then I'd have all these operators around the country, and I would make all the cookies for them, have the brand, have the truck, and they would just go run it. So we got one truck running, and my friend Rachel, she's the boss of that, and yeah, it's a slow growth on that. I think the restaurant business is insanely hard, and we're just going to keep figuring things out and see if that takes off. But me personally, my focus has been 100% on momentum. Yeah. So
with momentum, like, you don't want it to become this, like, emotional burden. That's what I'll call it. But
sure,
you want it to be a journey. One of the challenges in the early days is getting people to hear about the product.
Right.
How are you going to attack that in a way that doesn't stress you out? Because the reality is, like, yeah, it's a great product, but no one knows about it until they put it in their body, put it in their mouth. And that's not going to happen unless you can sell them on the product up front.
So the amazing thing about entrepreneurship is that it's an opportunity for growth. And the way that I'm finding meaning in the world is to start doing things that are out of my comfort zone, things I've never done that give me an excuse to study and become good at something. That's when I feel most alive, is when I'm moving towards a goal that is just outside of my reach, but I know I have the capability to get to. And it's exciting. I don't know how to generate that kind of traffic that I'm going to need to do, but I'm learning, at a rapid pace. The other companies I had were really based on search, right? So making a product that people were already looking for, making the product best in class, demonstrating on a page, but they were searching for that product, right? And then I was providing the answer. This is going to require so much education because it's a complicated product with a lot of ingredients and a lot of things that people don't know much about. They didn't know that it existed. They have no reason to search for it until they hear about it, right? So I have to drive my own traffic. It's just not something I've done before. I don't have any social media of my own. It kind of feels icky to me, so I don't necessarily want to do that myself. So how do I create traffic without getting sucked into this social media world? It's going to be a really fun thing.
Because you're not doing Amazon, right?
No, I mean, I think eventually we'll put it on Amazon, but it's not an inexpensive product by any stretch. And I feel like people are really price sensitive on Amazon, and it's going to require education, right? So I think once people recognize the brand momentum and they want to buy it on Amazon and they just go in there straight for it, yeah, of course, it'll be for sale there. Amazon's great. But I think right now it's going to be things like this podcast where it's long form, people can understand what's going on. They can learn a little bit about the process, and then they come to the website, get more education, they try it out. So that's kind of what brand building is, I think, right? But there's got to be a way to systemize doing this so it's pleasant. So a way to make content and then distribute it, and then have other people, preferably users who've had great experiences, share that, make their own content, share that, and then kind of leverage that. So I think that's the play, right? But I don't know. There's this big debate, do you make user-generated content or do you make really high-end media? And every Facebook agency in the world is going to tell you user-generated content is where it's at. People want to have, they're on Facebook and they want things to look native. So it's got to be like a handheld camera and people talking about it and like low budget because it looks like it's part of the platform. I'm trying to make a really high-end brand. And I think to myself, like, okay, does Louis Vuitton do user-generated content? Probably not. They're making like cologne if you think of like what a cologne advertisement looks like, or any kind of luxury brand, like it's very high end, it's beautiful people. Do I need to make that kind of media, like traditional media, or do I do this kind of guerrilla marketing tactic? Is that going to hurt the brand? These are things I don't know. So I'm kind of trying to balance all that right now and figure it out. It'd be exciting to make a bunch of mistakes.
The thing that I find interesting about like established luxury brands is the question is, what would have they done when they were in year one of their business?
Right.
And granted, like it's 100 years ago, they don't have social media and all that stuff. But like, what were the promotions they did? How did they run their business? And the reality is, they probably did a lot of different things. Right. And then it wasn't until like they essentially had built a foothold that allowed them to go up market. Like Banana Republic, for instance, that used to be kind of, I don't know if you remember Banana Republics, like way back in the day when it was just like this weird kind of like a tropical theme, and it wasn't like nice or prestigious. It was nice, but it wasn't like the kind of like sophisticated nice that it is now. Like seeing that brand evolve, but it's like that longevity that adds that ability for them to not promote in ways that most brands do. That is it a mistake to have that mindset? I think like Beard Brand, we've always kind of had that mindset of trying to be a premium brand.
Right. Well, you are.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, did we shoot ourselves in the foot? Could have we established ourselves, got more of a strong foothold, and then over time it becomes, part of culture. But now we're still a small brand, and will we always be a small brand because, we stuck to our guns of not wanting to lean onto discounts and things like that?
I don't know the answer to that. I feel like everything can become a commodity very quickly, and you just start to race to the bottom doing discounts. And then the only way to compete is to lower the quality of your product to keep lowering your price. And that's not a game I want to play, not because of profit, because I don't ever want to sell an inferior product and put my name on it. It'd be very fascinating to kind of look at, almost all luxury brands have a history to them, right? And, it's this chicken or the egg. How do you get the history if you can't spread the word? I don't have the answer to that, but we're going to find out.
Yeah. I think it's a challenge, like everything that, you don't always know the answer.
It's exciting though, isn't it? I want to live a lot longer. And the minute that I run out of things to learn and not be good at and to be an amateur at, like that's going to be a very boring time. So to me, that is what entrepreneurship is. It's just like finding something I don't know anything about, becoming obsessed with it, and then figuring out how can I make this easy so that other people are, it's accessible for other people and it's simple. Where's the problem that I can solve to help a bigger audience? In this particular case, I'm not a doctor, right? What can I do that would be useful in the health and wellness space without that kind of background? Well, luckily, doctors have published so many studies and they've broken down the science for people to understand. But the thing that they can't do that I can is I can source all of this stuff. I know how to make systems. I know how to make a product that's incredible. I know how to, communicate it in a way that is accessible to people. They don't know how to make products. They don't know how to logistically go source 30 different things, make sure it's the best on the market, negotiate those things. So I can leverage other people's expertise and then bring what I bring to the table, which is making a company that's awesome. And that's the exciting thing, I think.
Yeah. I think one of the challenges that product-based companies, especially in our space and your space, is like your products have a shelf life.
Sure.
So you have the best product now, but if that product sits on the shelf for 2 years, it's no longer the best product.
You mean like it expires? Or
right.
Yeah, sure.
Or like I would imagine there's, some kind of half-life to the ingredients where they're essentially decomposing or whatever, like changing.
A lot of that has to do with the quality to begin with. So we have NMN, which is it's a molecule that's in everybody's body right now that helps you repair your DNA. It's the gasoline for your mitochondria. And there's a lot of low quality NMN on the market. They did a test of like 20 different NMN brands, and I think it was like 80% had less or 0% NMN in it because it had a shelf life and they hadn't figured out how to make it stable. The two that did pass the test, which I used the same supplier as one of the two, It's best in the world. It's 10 times more expensive, but the shelf life is 2 years. So we just did a test last week on some NMN that we've had for a year. It only lost 0.4% of its potency over an entire year. So when you spend more money on something, that's something you get is a longer shelf life. You get not just today a better product, but like this is intuitive for everybody. You're wearing an amazing leather coat right now, and that's going to last you the next 50 years. And if it was super expensive, but you won't have to replace it every year. It's going to look cool every year, but it's probably going to break in and look better every time. So everything I've ever made, I want it to be the absolute highest quality thing. And it's shocking sometimes. I don't know why anybody would make something cheap. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The price differences, they're just not worth it. It's your body, it's your life. We only get to be on this planet for so long. Why, if you have a choice, and I understand everyone's coming from different places, but I would rather have less of something and have it be higher quality every time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
It's funny because like, I do think like in business, there's like the ideal and then there's always like the reality. It's like, what if this brand is really a small niche and like I love it and I'm not willing to compromise on it, but it's only 1,000 customers a month or something like that.
Sure.
So the earnings potential is $100,000 a month. That's $1 million business, nothing to sneeze about, but it's probably not going to be that. I mean, I know from my entrepreneur journey, like settling for a business of a certain size is not exciting to me. Like the idea of growth is what's exciting. So how would you face that battle if you find out the product market fit is not there to drive it to levels that, bring you joy and growth over the years?
Yeah, that's something I've wrestled with a lot. And I promised myself before I started to be detached from the results. So I don't care if it's just me and you that have this. I know it's outstanding.
But you can't afford that, right? What are the MOQs?
Yeah,
what are the MOQs? If you don't mind me asking.
Sure. I probably have $300,000 right now. And we're going to launch, in the week and start doing ads and stuff. So that's not going to break me, but it would hurt my ego.
No, but I'm saying like each time, right? Like,
right.
Do you have to do 300K order every single time?
No. Well, probably about $100,000 order. Yeah.
Okay.
To get started. But if I'm putting in, those kind of orders, that means I'm getting positive feedback from all this. And so 3 years ago, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was paying attention to my attention. So I started these 3 different companies in 3 totally different spaces, and just started working on them, getting excited about them, and just watching my conversations with people and the natural questions that would come up. And am I getting these kinds of positive reinforcement to keep going? And momentum was the one by far that was the stickiest. And not just for other people, but myself. It's the one I was most excited about. So, at every step along the way, I start getting positive feedback. I gave some to you last month. I've had maybe 100 people now try it over the last 3 months. And the positive feedback that I've gotten has just been so overwhelming that I guess I'm not super concerned that it isn't a product market fit, but that is something you need to be paying attention to. You need to immediately cut things that people aren't asking for, that there isn't a natural, inclination or curiosity about. Like, you're going to know right away if you're getting honest feedback from people. Like, if it's unsolicited, they're like coming back like, this tastes great. And like, I didn't ask about it. Or like, oh, I feel really great. And like, okay, cool. Or they're just following up with questions instead of, changing the subject. So, yeah. But to talk more about like what you're talking about, like a ceiling, I think you have to know from the beginning, what is the potential? And I'm not interested in anything that doesn't have the ability to scale. This could very easily do $100 million a year. It's okay if it doesn't, but it has the ability to. For me to get to $100 million a year, I need to have about 60,000 subscribers. Okay, that's 60,000 sales over 5 years, right? So that's 12,000 sales a year. That's not that much to like talk to and communicate to 12,000 people. If I have a great product and it's the right price and the message is there, it will work. So we'll see. But yeah, that I just don't want to do anything with the ceiling on it. And on top of that, I want to make sure that I'm leveraging sales. Sales are the hardest thing, right? Finding someone who's interested in it, answering all their questions, showing that there's a fit and that they should take a chance on you and part with their hard-earned dollars to try you out. That is so hard. And if you're doing one-offs, like all my other companies have been, going through that whole process to sell one thing of something to somebody and then starting that process over again with a stranger, that's terrible. But with this, I'm leveraging that sale. One sale should turn into 12 sales, or if it's great, 24, 36, or maybe for life, right? So that effort is scalable, which I think is pretty cool. So I won't ever start a product again or any business that doesn't have reoccurring sales, because that's where I think you can really scale something quickly, or not even quickly. But something that really changed in my mindset was patience. When you're young, you want results immediately, but there's so little that you can make today that will be great that you could have a result on in a year. I've been working on this project for 2.5 years. It's been my full-time job. I've made no money on it, right? It's been...
You've lost money. You've invested.
I've invested a ton of money, but a ton of time, right? And in my head, like, my time is worth $2,000-$3,000 an hour. So if I'm in 4,000 hours on this, like, that I could have had the opportunity cost of starting something else, right? That is a huge, huge, huge investment of my time and my energy and my passion. Yeah, that's it's pretty crazy when I think about it, actually. But yeah, it just has to be worth it. I like to think about the very first step of something. The very first decision is exponentially more important than the next one, which is exponentially more important than the next one. So today when I leave this studio, if I drive left versus driving right, no matter what I do after that is half as important, right? I can never recover from that first decision. So picking my direction, picking the product, picking the values, these are the huge decisions in the beginning. So I kind of like to think of businesses like in your lifetime, like you have a punch card and maybe you get five ideas that you can truly pursue. I mean, and that's if you had some success. If you've never had success at something, you get 2, maybe 3 at-bats in your whole life before you'd burn out or, never want to try it again.
Yeah, work for the man.
So you have to be so sure about something that you're going to punch that card. I'm going to start this business. It meets all these criteria for, ceiling, for market, for your passion alignment, for your skill set alignment, that you're willing to punch that card and just not start stuff because you only get so many at-bats, right? Like try lots of things, go a month into something, go to parties and talk about it, see the reaction you're getting, and then just quit. I've quit so many things. I've started so many different projects and then just taken the loss. Like, oh, that didn't work. And just because the time is so important. You can't get that back. And I feel the same way about your whole life. You maybe get like 5 opportunities at a relationship, right? So you got to be real careful. I mean, you were lucky. You met a wonderful woman and got married so long ago that was that like your second shot or like?
No, I mean, what are you talking about?
How many, did you have a serious relationship before your wife?
Not really, no.
Got it right on the first time. That's amazing, Eric.
Yeah, I just have a low tolerance for people who I don't jive with. So
I'm glad to make the cut.
Yeah. Where can people buy this? Shameless plug. I'm subscribed. I pay my own money.
You did, which is
customer number 2.
MomentumShake.com. Check it out. But that's like feedback. It is so crucial.
Yeah.
Right. Are people you respect giving you actual money for the thing? And I didn't like beg you to do it. And like you tried it out, you liked it, you bought it. That meant the world to me, right? Because I so respect your opinion and you know about this stuff and you care about your health and fitness, that like this solves a problem in your life and that you appreciate it, that you're willing to actually pay me money. I was like, okay. But if I wasn't getting that feedback from people I respected, I would have killed it.
I'll be honest, because it's you, it's an easier sell. Like if I ran across this online,
right, yeah.
like not knowing who was running it and saw a $75 bag,
right?
Yeah, I would probably be slower to make that movement. Yeah. So
the price point's going to be difficult for me to overcome. I have to communicate that if you were to buy all of these ingredients separately, it'd be about $400 a month. And that by me removing the middleman on 20 different ingredients, that's how I can charge $75 a bag. And the margins aren't actually that great for me. But yeah, that's going to be a difficult. They just see it's a one thing, right? So
yeah,
it'll take
and
some
it's way
educating.
cheaper than that Brian Johnson guy who's spending $2 million a month.
He's so fascinating. He's a real dedicated biohacker, right? Quite the pioneer. I'm really trying to do the 80-20 on that. He's doing it all for research, right? He's going to the extremes of, only eating for a couple hours a day and having like 4% body fat and doing all these tests, which are super fascinating. But that's never going to be a protocol that the average person can do. And Momentum Shake was built around the concept that we know what most people are deficient in. There are things that are declining in us as we age, like our muscle mass, our collagen. These things are declining, our hyaluronic acid, our NAD. These are all declining. So let's replace them. Let's replace the things that you're deficient in. There's no superfoods. There's no like secret pills or drugs. It's just the things that your body is made out of and needs every single day. And if we can cover that base, get you to your optimal state, I think that would be a huge win for so many people that nutrition is hard, that they don't know what to take. They don't want to take a gazillion pills, or it's a pain in the butt. If we can make it easy, we can make people healthier. And if that gets people an extra year of really healthy life, and I can help 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people get an extra year, bring 10,000 more years of human potential of people doing great things, that to me, that's my motivation for doing this. Is I want people to be at their full potential and doing something great with their life with that extra time. So it's got to be simple. It's got to be easy. There's a zillion other things that you could do, but this is like the easiest way to get the most bang for your buck. And I wish people approached business in general like that, like solve a real problem that has a huge benefit for as many people as possible instead of,
selling beard oil.
No. That's if you were just selling another beard oil, that would be a waste of time, a waste of your creativity, or a waste of your intelligence. But you're out there selling the best. And it's not just beard oil. It's like an entire lifestyle brand, right? You're making a one-stop thing of trust for all kinds of grooming, which I think is, you're doing exactly what I think you should be doing, in the sense that you're elevating something that has just been a simple thing, and you're turning it into art. The scents that you're creating are premium. They're outstanding. The packaging is outstanding. The materials is outstanding. You're not cutting any corners anywhere. And I wish people had that kind of dedication for everything that they were doing. You look at like France and Japan and these cultures where people are true craftsmen. They spend not just their lives, but like generations mastering something. And I just think that is beautiful. And I want to bring that to America, where it's not just about, we can mass manufacture stuff, sure. And that's part of the thing. But we can also make the best of something. And I just think it's better business all around.
Yeah. So Momentum Shake, the best.
Yeah.
The best. Where else can they find you? Are you on Twitter?
I don't have any social media. I have a profile with 0 tweets on it. Yeah, Mike at MomentumShake.com. I love helping people, mentoring. So if you have any questions that I could help answer about your business, I would love to check out your stuff, check it out, see if I can be helpful.
Sweet, man. Well, thanks for coming by again, sharing your story. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think you're going to hit that 100 million, and
it'll be fun.
I'll be telling my kids I was customer number 2. All right, guys. This has been another e-commerce conversations. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
And keep on growing.